Hi.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Yeah, gosh, the week has been so crazy.
I know. Lots of stuff this week for us, huh?
Lots of stuff going on. Yeah. I'm so glad we finally managed to get the time zones figured out.
I know. I'm very glad to.
I was really struggling with that for a second. I was like, I can't do maths. I don't know what PT is.
Honestly, same. I've been just using Google for all of it.
Yeah, for sure.
We can wait a little longer for more people to join, or we could get started right away because, we'll archive it and they can see it anyway. Up to you.
Yeah, I'm happy. Let's get started.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for joining me today for a conversation. This is Meet the G Hive for anyone who's watching. I have the pleasure of interviewing theater artists every week, and you are this week's. I'm gonna let you introduce yourself because I think you're really amazing, and if you put it in your own words, it's gonna be even better. But Katie is really the lead of the London Fusion Theatre Company and collaborates often with the Global Hive Laboratories, which is um, the collective that I've been able to work with for the past year or so. And every chance we've, you know, been able to collaborate, it's been really amazing. So tell the world a little bit about you. Who are you? Yeah,
So,
what makes you tickle?
yeah. Uh, I'm Katie Merritt. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I am a theatre director by trade and the artistic director of Fusion Theatre Company, as you say, and one of the affiliate companies of Global Hive. I'm a Sagittarius,
Yes.
quite Sagittarius as well, so I got that little bit of fire.
Hmm.
Um, I'm from England. I grew up in the Midlands in Nottingham, which is where Robin Hood is from, if anyone knows that. And I was really lucky to grow up in beautiful countryside. And it was really rural and lovely and spacious. And I never really felt like that was the place that I was supposed to be.
Hmm.
um, so basically, I just always felt that I wanted to be like closer to the action, like around
Hmm.
people and around different cultures and theatre and arts and restaurants and that kind of thing. So 11 years ago, I was lucky enough to move to London and basically haven't left.
Hmm.
Um, so I first came to London to study at Middlesex University, where I did theatre arts for my undergrad. And
Hmm.
it was a really amazing course because they really promoted the students to create work from like the ground up.
That's
So
amazing.
you would like choose the piece, you would like figure out who's going to direct it, who's going to make the costumes, who's going to do the set, and then you would take it all the way through to production. And I think it's quite a unique course for doing that.
Hmm.
And it really taught me a lot about how to get stuck in and how to make a performance and like do all the things that you don't know how to do, which
Hmm.
has served me really well in working with Fusion and with Global Hive and as a director, like a light needs to be rigged. Is anyone doing it? Like, I'll do it. Like, I'll
Yeah,
figure it
you got it.
out. So yeah, that was a really fantastic experience for me. And then after Middlesex, I went to East 15 and did a master's degree doing theatre directing, and that's where I met Denise, and that's where I met Jack, and
Hmm.
loads of other people in the collective. And that was a really wonderful thing in a different way because the course is made up of so many people from different places in the world.
Hmm.
Um, and working alongside those people, that diverse group of people, and learning with them and growing with them was really enlightening. And it really made me question who I am and what kind of practice I wanted to have. Um, and I also got to study in Bali for a month. I know Jack and Denise both mentioned it in their interview. Um,
Yeah.
but it was a turning point for me, really. I know Jack mentioned like the religious side of the performance
Hmm.
and how it all works in the East. But for me, it was about that storytelling and the music and everything combined that really made
Hmm.
me look deeper into my own practice and figure out what kind of a director I wanted to be, you know?
Do
Um,
you want to tell us a little bit more about that? What kind of director you do want to be, maybe the kind of director you've been. So maybe walk us through your journey as
I
an
was
artist,
say
right?
as well, I actually got an instrument from Bali when I was out
Oh
there.
wow, that's amazing.
That's I had it like made for me because I was so out there. It's a really beautiful instrument. It's played like with puppet shows and stuff, so it's amazing.
Oh,
Yeah, I wanna be a director that changes things. I want to be able to send a message with the work and make a difference. You know, I suppose. Well, what really attracted me to theatre in the beginning, it started like a long time ago when I was really young. So
hmm.
my mum took me to a show in the West End, and it was like a musical, like an all singing, all dancing kind of musical, and the guy on stage was singing like the title number at the end and like doing all this stuff and like pointed and was like, it was called Crazy for You, and
Hmm.
he was like, oh, singing the song and was like, oh, I'm crazy for you, and like
Hmm.
pointed, and I felt like he was pointing at me,
Of
and
course.
I was like, oh my god, I'm so moved and delighted and joyed and like overjoyed, and really that for me theatre has quite a transformative effect in that way, like
Hmm.
a shared experience, a communal feeling,
Hmm.
um, a sense that we're all in the same place and understanding the same thing. So I think that's what the power that it has. You know, it has the power to move you, to make you feel things or understand things you didn't before.
Definitely.
Um, and it's happened to me so much when I've watched theatre. You know, when you get a buzz and you feel like the audience is feeling the same, and there's that palpable sense of mood that you have when you
Hmm.
watch something, and feel something together. And I suppose as a theatre maker and as the director, I want to create that environment, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Um, where an audience is truly engaged in something and transported into the world that you've created.
Hmm.
Uh, and also, you know, as a director, there's a fascination with people as well. You know,
Yeah,
how we
of course.
work, how we all relate to each other, what we like, what binds us in our humanity. You know,
Hmm.
um, and I suppose doing this job, you're creating both, aren't you? You're looking at people and how they work, and also creating a fantasy world and putting them together.
Yeah.
And that's what I find fascinating about theatre. That's the kind of director I want to be, creating a sense of human nature and humanity and the behavior within a fictional world of my creation, you know?
Yeah, of course.
And going to that transformative thing as well, both with the creation of it and with the watching of it, right? Like
Hmm.
through the process of creating theatre, you learn and you grow and you evolve, uh,
Hmm.
and you find out things about yourself that you didn't before. Um,
Hmm.
and you're never really the same again after the process, I think. And I
I
think that's
agree.
a really valuable thing,
Hmm.
in terms of like questioning yourself and evaluating yourself and understanding who you are and what part you play in the world.
Hmm.
Um, and then when you create it effectively for an audience, you can use it called. Um, you can use it then to send a message to the people who are watching it, whatever that message is, right? Like a message of
Mm-hmm.
inspiration or empathy or empowerment or whatever that is. Um, so that's what is so fascinating to me as a director, and that's the kind of director I want to be. I want to send a message of power, empowerment, empathy,
Mm-hmm.
acceptance, tolerance, equality, you know.
Yeah. I love all of that. And I mean, through the work of Medusa and everything that we've been doing over the past few weeks, I really do get that, right? As an audience member, as a performer, just being part of that process has been really transformative, and having you in the room has really elevated that. I'm curious about your work with, the Fusion Theater Company. Tell us a little more about how, in your role, you've truly been able to tell those stories. I'm sure you have some, memorable
Yeah,
moments that
for
come
sure.
to mind when you think about that journey. So, yeah, tell
Yeah.
us a little bit about that.
So, going on from what we were saying, the mission of the company is to bring people together using theatre. That's always been the mission and the driving force behind it. Um, and so we began with that mandate. We started in 2015. Me and my friend from Middlesex set up the company, and we were just really tired of like emailing people and asking for work and applying for jobs and not getting any response.
Hmm.
So we sort of took it upon ourselves to make our own work, and
Yeah,
we did it with very limited resources and only sort of the knowledge we'd acquired from our study, and we just went and did it. And
that's so impressive.
well,
Really.
yeah, it had its troubles, let me tell you
Hmm.
that. But so we basically started in theatre and education. So we created interactive shows for primary schools, and we focused the messages of those shows. We directed them, we wrote them ourselves,
Hmm.
and we focused those shows on promoting acceptance and celebration of myths and stories and legends from different places. Um, and we also offered workshops to get the kids involved in the work and get them sort of playing around and using theatre to build those tools that are so vital, at
Hmm.
that young age as well. What theatre really does for primary school kids is, it builds their self-confidence, their team working abilities, all sorts of things.
Definitely.
So we are, and we were, and we still are very passionate about engaging children in theatre. We also rolled out a scheme to help teachers, like with education packs, um, that would help them to integrate theatre into the way they taught their curriculum, for English or for maths or for history or for geography,
Okay.
to try and get the kids as young as possible to be engaging with art.
Yeah, of course.
And it was a really valuable and rewarding experience, because we would take the work into their school, like just into their school hall that they'd seen every day,
Hmm.
and we just would transform it. We would like put our set up, and we would like do all this stuff, and the excitement that they felt of seeing that room and that space transformed was enough on its own.
Yeah.
um, and it was like a comedy show as well. So we they were laughing and they were giggling and they were playing, and it was a really fantastic way to start our journey.
Hmm.
It was also tough, because kids are like the hardest audience you can play to. As a
Definitely.
general audience, then so working in that field sort of was a trial by fire in a way. Like, we have to get this right, they have to like it, what's engaging.
Hmm.
So it made us try and figure out what kind of work works, what
Hmm.
engages people, what keeps an audience engaged. And I look back fondly on that. As I say, we do still work in education, but over time, the idea, the mission has evolved, as everything does, as we all do.
Of course.
Um, but the through line has always been the same, you know, promoting tolerance and equality and all that kind of thing. And that's why the work with Global Hive has overlapped so well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Obviously, I met Denise at East 15, and I've
Mm-hmm.
always admired her and her work.
Oh, and she admires you. I mean, it's so clear. It's really beautiful to see you two work together.
Yeah, and we hadn't really lost touch, but we hadn't worked together in a long time, and we both found ourselves at a mutual friend's wedding in New York, and she was
Oh,
just
wow.
on the brink of starting Medusa, or what was to become Medusa. And we in that over those few days, it was so magical. Like, we were like hanging out and talking about theatre, and we realized that we were really on the same track with the work
Mm-hmm.
we wanted to create. So when I got back to London, she messaged me and said, like, do you want to get involved in this? And obviously I said yes. So we were in really at the ground level of Medusa, and everything that was, from the inception of the idea and the decision making and
Wow.
the choice of topic, and which was wonderful. The first labs were run in London with a
Yeah.
group of fantastic artists, a lot of which are still with the collective now.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to go to Piacenza, and we came to Chicago, obviously, which was wonderful. Um, and then we brought the show to London and did 2 full runs of it at the Cockpit and the Pleasance. So it was a magical thing, and I felt like I grew and learned so much. You know,
Oh
over
my
it's been a long
gosh.
time. Yeah,
Yeah.
it started like a year and a half ago or something like that. It's
Yeah.
crazy how
And
much
each
we've done.
workshop was quite short, right? And so it was like a lot of growth in a short period of time. I felt
Yeah,
the same way in Chicago, but wow, was it incredible. And just
for
kind
sure.
of seeing how the show has transformed, not only from venue to venue in Chicago, but from city to city has been really magical. I
Yeah,
bet you're really proud. But you
yeah,
mentioned this collaboration between the Global Hive and Fusion. There is one more in the works.
yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the classics up close and what makes you excited about it. I know you are. I
I'm
I
so
really
excited.
am.
Excited. I mean, it was born out of necessity, as you can understand, with
Hmm.
the COVID-19 pandemic, because so many artists have been left in a position where their work's been cancelled and their income is lost.
Hmm.
Um, so we wanted to try and create something, a platform that could support artists we work with in a more sustainable way,
Hmm.
on an ongoing basis, right? So essentially that's what we're doing with the classics up close series, taking classic writers, some of which you would know, Shakespeare or Dickens or whatever we have planned. I'm not going to tell you too soon. um, but also, as Denise was saying before, championing sort of lesser known classic artists and writers. Um, so we're producing it, basically filming it through Zoom, which has been interesting, and putting it available to stream through our Patreon platform. So people can sign up and access 1 or 2 shows a month, depending on which tier that you choose. And also there's lots of other content there, which is really exciting. As a theatre director, it's been an interesting one, working in a more filmic way, right? Because
Yeah. Wow.
there are crossovers between theatre and film in terms of, what is it that makes a character? How do you create a character? How do you perform a character? That's all the
Hmm.
same, right?
Yeah, of course.
Um, but then the world, the fantasy world that you create as a director that I mentioned before, um, where does that come into it? If you're restricted to a platform like Zoom, I
Hmm.
suppose that kind of thing comes in the editing process afterwards, the way you can cut it,
True.
chop it
Hmm.
where you like, and put an effect on it and all that kind of thing, and put the music where you want it to be. So that's been an interesting development personally,
Hmm.
and also video editing in general, which I've never done before, but now I'm doing a lot.
Hmm. You're on
Um,
your way to becoming your own expert. I mean,
yeah. Well,
it's been
again,
really interesting to see the shifts and what's become more important during this time. And so much of it just lives online.
yeah, for sure. I mean, it comes back to what I was saying about the course at Middlesex, like getting stuck in and figuring it out and just like
Hmm.
learning as you go. Like, both myself and Denise are always like, how do you do this? I don't know. Let me Google it. Like, we'll figure
Hmm.
it out.
Yeah.
So that's been really nice. It's we've had obstacles, obviously, with mainly with Zoom settings, but hopefully, we'll grow into the medium, we'll grow into the platform, and the work will develop and evolve as it always does. And I hope that people come along on the journey and watch us hopefully blossom on the medium. And you can stream it obviously tonight from 7 p.m. GMT. So
Hmm.
get on our Patreon platform and have a look.
Yeah, that should be right after this. So,
Right after this, yeah.
hmm,
Perfect
that's
time.
so exciting. So as I understand that your performers are all over the world, has that
Yeah,
influenced your work in any way? I'm sure
great.
scheduling alone is super difficult, but
Mm-hmm.
do you see new opportunities there for theater? I'm just so curious, right? What makes you excited for the future of theater
Yeah,
online?
yeah. Um, I think working with different artists in different places with different perspectives is vital to the
Hmm.
work. Um, as I mentioned before, it's a learning experience for everyone. Listening to people from different places who understand things in a different way and see things in a different way.
Hmm.
And I think it's vital to the evolution of all work, actually, that we all um, create and understand and listen to each other. Um, this this work is interesting. I think a lot of our work may go online, and it's about how we can project our style and what we want to say and adequately put it across through this platform, because we all understand theatre quite well. And I think the progression for this is going to be about us evolving and learning from now doing it online, and building up our skills for it.
Yeah.
um it's such a blessing working with the Hive. I'm excited for the future and what we're going to do. um I'm frustrated with the current state of theatre, if I'm being honest. I
Yes, let's get into
Let's
it.
get into it. Let's lay it all out.
Hmm.
It's not sustainable as an independent performer or as a company,
Hmm.
when you're not supported in a venue, or when you're a small company, the arts funding that you're looking for, it takes so long to do. But then
Yeah,
also, if you're lucky enough to get it,
of
then
course.
what is the legacy of it? Like, a lot of these project funds only go to a specific project, right? So
Hmm.
there's no legacy, there's no longevity. Like,
Very
we
true.
need something that's something that we can create that's sustainable forever.
Hmm.
um
I think that's one of your main qualities that I've always really admired, especially through this process, is that you are thinking about the sustainability of theater. You're also thinking from a perspective of a smaller company, right? You're not just thinking as an independent
yeah,
performer, contractor, you're thinking about the business of it all, right?
yeah.
And I mean, you see it in every other industry, right? There are always incubators, there are grants, there's funding, training. Like, there's so much that goes into funding a good idea,
Hmm.
right? And we don't necessarily see that in theater because we're always favoring specific perspectives that have always been favored, or theater companies that have been around for a long time.
Yeah,
Um, I think there's much to learn from other industries that are willing and able, of course, to fund something different,
yeah.
something that feels more experimental, which is really what the labs do, right?
Hmm.
This work is so international. It is very much a trial and error situation every time.
Yeah.
But that's what makes it so memorable and so important, I think.
For sure. I
Hmm.
think the way I've always spoken about it is like, if you were training to be an accountant or anything like that, would you
Hmm.
would you come out of your study and expect to be unpaid for that work or for that job? Like,
Hmm.
the fact that we all work so much for nothing, essentially, for no money. I mean, not for nothing. The
Hmm.
work is vital and important,
Of
but
course.
we're not doing it for the monetary gains, are we? Let's face it.
Of course.
So my thing is, with this pandemic, it's been a terrible thing, but I feel like it's an opportunity for us in many, many ways to get
Hmm.
rid of these archaic structures. Like,
Couldn't
let's
agree
just get
more.
rid of them, like all
Hmm.
of them, not just in theatre. Let's just start again and create something new, something that works better for everybody, and
Exactly.
that's actually important and makes people thrive under it, and not leave us in this state of not being able to survive.
Of course. And my hope is that people are truly seeing now how important art is, how important performance is.
Yeah.
We're stuck inside, and the best way to entertain ourselves is to watch other people on TV or listen to people through podcasts, whatever it is. Like, we want performance in our life
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
And I hope that this really only highlights how much more important it will become. I really think so.
I agree too.
Which is why I'm so excited to be, part of this collective that's rethinking in its
It's
own way,
fantastic to have
right?
you.
Oh,
It's really been amazing to work with you. What's your favorite
oh,
part
you're
of
so
being in
sweet.
the hive? What do you like?
Oh my goodness. I get to play. I think that that's really what's the core of performance for me. And it's been such a freeing environment as a performer, especially to just go places that you didn't think you could. There was
Yeah.
something you said earlier that really resonated with me, around just discovering more about yourself with each project and leaving that a different person every time.
For
That's
sure.
very much what it's felt like for me, especially with Medusa, right? It was very
Mm.
interesting for me to be in this very femme body, but playing um, Perseus, who's a male character, but still playing it in like it was playing with gender, and that specific instance was really powerful. So I
Mm.
also got to be part of the ensemble and work with so many different femmes in that project specifically. It was just fun. It was different and it was exciting. And then with the latest project in Piacenza with Carolina and Jack, my God, I was, speaking Spanish to Italian speakers, and we were making theater in English and Italian and everything we could, pepper it with. It was incredible. I mean, where else or when else do you get those kinds of opportunities? And
Yeah.
I share
Absolutely.
your frustration, right? Because
Mm.
when we then finish a part of that project, we think, well, we want to take this somewhere else, or we want to
Mm-hmm.
travel somewhere else, or we want to come back, bring more artists, more facilitators. And then the question is, well, where's the funding for that?
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. Because
Hmm.
all of us have been putting money out of our own pocket, but at this point,
Hmm.
it really is the labor of love for us up to this point.
Exactly.
I hope that we can properly make it sustainable and viable.
Yeah, I share the same hope, and I'm extremely excited for the future of
Yeah.
the Hive. We're just getting started too, so
Yeah.
opportunities abound for
Absolutely.
sure.
Hope for the
Well, thank
future.
you so much. I have a couple of more personal questions that come from this game that's called We're Not Really Strangers. I'm gonna pull them up right
Love
now. And these are surprise questions.
it.
um, I just really, really love how reflective these questions are, and I really do think that they kind of encourage connection, which is why I'm always asking them to um, my guests, I guess.
I think it's a great
All right.
idea. Love it.
I think you're gonna like this question. What
Yeah.
question are you trying to answer most in your life right now?
Ah, that is a great question. Um, Quite typically Sagittarius, I'm always looking to understand more about why and how things work.
Hmm.
What question am I looking for now? Ah, that's such a
Take your
good
time.
one.
Right?
That's so deep. Um,
Hmm. It's filled with questions like this.
I want to know. I want to know how. I want to see into the future, and I want to see where I'm going. I
Mm,
want to know. I know it's totally impossible, but I want to figure out where this is all going to end, and what it means, and what we're aiming for.
right, yeah.
Like, but I think I can never answer that question because I think
Hmm.
that always evolves.
Yeah.
So I can
But that
only
keeps you inspired
assess.
too, no?
So,
It keeps you inspired as well, right? Like the
yeah,
not knowing, for sure.
absolutely. Trust me to pick an answer that actually can never be answered.
Of course. Well, I love it. I love it. And, I've been reflecting a lot about that too, especially this year, because it feels like such a slower year. And so it
Mm,
feels like a year of planting seeds. We're
yeah.
not necessarily harvesting. Um, But there's like that question even when you're planting something, right? Like, what is it that I'm doing now? Do I want a big harvest? Do I want a small one? Am I feeding two people? Am I feeding six, right? Am I feeding a village? What is it that I'm doing? So I get the questioning, and I think it's what keeps you inspired, honestly.
Yeah.
I really like that answer.
You put that planting seeds and maybe it won't harvest yet. Oh, such a good way to put it.
What would you call this chapter of your life? What would you name it if it was a chapter in a book?
Reach for the stars.
Wow, I love that. I really love that.
Hmm. I that's kind of who I am as a person as well. Like I feel sometimes to my detriment, but um, pretty much always trying to reach for something,
Hmm.
you know, which I suppose is what pushes me forward. Um,
Yeah.
I'm sure my partner would say that I'm like a speed train, like going in one direction, and he's like, trying to
Right,
hang
yeah.
on.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is what drives me forward, reaching for the next thing, and
Hmm.
whatever that is, and yeah.
I would love to end on that note. I think that's so beautiful, and I think our viewers will really enjoy that. That's a beautiful note to leave on. I want to thank you so much for joining me today and answering some questions
Thank
and just
you.
sharing about yourself. You're so incredible. I
Oh,
am a
so are you.
fan. And I'm rooting for all of us. It's a good chapter for all of us. I really do think so.
Absolutely. Now to the stars.
Exactly. Enjoy the rest of your Friday and your weekend.
Yes, you
Bye.
too. Bye.